Lavender. You smell it. You see it. You want it in your garden. But can you actually grow it in your location? The answer is, it depends. Stick with me until the end, because by the time the video is over, you'll know exactly what to do. I'll also tell you what to grow instead if lavender just isn't going to work for you. What makes lavender tick? In order to grow lavender well, you have to understand where it comes from. Lavender is native to the Mediterranean. Think dry summers, rocky soil, and bright sun all day long. That's what this plant was born into. That's what it wants. So here's what lavender needs from you. First, full sun. At least 10 hours a day in a perfect world. Lavender does not do well in shade. That said, in Central Florida, it is almost always best to provide part shade during the sunniest parts of the day, and 4 to 6 hours of full sun here is usually plenty. Second, dry, fast-draining soil. This is a big one. Lavender does not want to sit in wet soil, ever. Clay soil is its worst enemy. If your soil is heavy or holds water, you'll want to loosen it up with compost before you plant. Some people reach for sand or perlite, but compost actually does a better job of improving the texture long term. The soil also doesn't need to be rich. Lavender actually does fine in poor, unimproved soil, as long as it drains well. Too many nutrients can work against you. Third, good airflow. Lavender hates being crowded and humid. A good spacing rule is 2 to 3 feet between plants. That keeps air moving through and helps the roots dry out between waterings. Fourth, the right watering habits. Less is more. Once lavender is established, it is very drought tolerant. Overwatering is one of the most common ways to kill it. Watering once per week is usually recommended. Make sure you water the roots. Do not water the leaves. Plant in early spring if you can. That gives roots time to settle in before the heat arrives. If you're planting later in the season, go for a slightly larger transplant so it has a head start. Cold climate tips. Before we get to Zone 9 specifics, a quick note for those of you in colder climates. If you're dealing with hard winters, grow lavender in a container. You can move it indoors when temperatures drop. Place it near a south-facing window where it can get as much sun as possible, and add a grow light if needed. The key with container lavender is to be even more careful about watering. It's very easy to overwater a plant in a pot, and lavender will not forgive you for it. Harvesting. Now let's talk about harvesting. This is a big part of why most people want to grow lavender in the first place. The best time to harvest is when the flowers are about 25 to 50% open. That's your window. When you cut, come down to just above where the stem turns woody. Take the green growth above that line. Bundle your stems together, tie them off, and hang them upside down in a cool, dry, dark spot for 10 to 14 days. That's all it takes to dry them. Pruning. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. Lavender can live for 5, 10, even 20 or more years if you prune it right. Prune twice a year. Once in early spring when new growth starts to shape the plant for the season ahead, and once in late summer or early fall to cut it back before it goes dormant. When you prune, the most important rule is to never cut below the woody base. That's the gray, thick growth of the bottom of the plant. Always leave green on the stems. If you cut into the wood with nothing green left above it, the plant may not come back. If you live somewhere warm with year-round growth, you can prune more often. Pruning 3 or 4 times a year keeps the plant compact. The Zone 9 reality. Here's where we need to have an honest conversation. You may have heard that lavender won't grow in Florida or Zone 9. That's not entirely true, but the full picture is important. Some lavender varieties do better than others in warm climates. Spanish lavender, for example, handles heat better than the classic English types. Gardeners in the drier parts of Zone 9 have more success because their summers stay relatively dry. These areas include Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Texas. But here in Florida, the problem isn't the heat, it's the rain. Our wet season kicks in around late May to mid-June and doesn't let up until fall. That means weeks and weeks of daily afternoon downpours, soggy soil, and air so humid it feels like a warm, wet towel. Lavender's roots simply cannot take that. Even tough Spanish lavender tends to rot out or develop fungal problems under those conditions. You can try to fight it. You can grow it in a raised bed with very good drainage. You can keep plants in containers and move them under cover during the worst of the rainy season. Some Zone 9 Florida gardeners have pulled it off, but it takes a lot of effort, and the plants usually still don't look their best. So the honest answer is, you can try lavender in Florida, but the odds are not in your favor, and there are easier plants that will give you a very similar look with far less frustration. Before we go on, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a video. What to grow instead? Let's talk about two replacements, one for flowers and one for flavor. For that lavender look, salvia. Ornamental salvia gives you tall purple flower spikes on upright stems. It has the same visual vibe as lavender, and it actually loves Florida's heat and humidity. Pollinators go absolutely wild for it, too. Two varieties stand out for Zone 9 Florida gardeners. The first is Mexican bush sage. It produces plush, velvety flower spikes from late summer through frost, right when a lot of other plants are calling it quits. It's a heat-tolerant and humidity-tolerant plant. Once established, it handles dry stretches without complaint. The spikes are a deep purple with white tips. It's very showy and very different from anything else in the garden. Florida gardeners who grow it find it tends to stay put and perform reliably year after year. Over time, it grows up to 5 or 6 feet tall and wide, so give it room. The second is mealy cup sage. This one resembles lavender at a glance, with upright violet-blue flower spikes on tiny stems. However, it behaves like a warm season workhorse, especially in sunny beds and containers. It's native to Florida and surrounding states, which explains its strong tolerance of heat and humidity. It blooms from late spring all the way into fall, and it stays compact enough for borders, containers, or anywhere you want that lavender-style vertical color without the drama. Look for varieties like Victoria, Blue, or Evolution at your local nursery. They're widely available and very consistent performers. For flavor, rosemary. If what you really wanted from lavender was something fragrant and useful in the kitchen, rosemary is your answer. It's also Mediterranean, so it shares lavender's love of full sun and dry, well-drained soil. But unlike lavender, rosemary actually handles Florida's humidity reasonably well once it's established. It's tough, it's fragrant, and it's far more forgiving than lavender will ever be here. Grow it in the ground or in a raised bed with good drainage. Keep it in full sun, and don't baby it with extra water. It will reward you with years of reliable growth. Lavender is a beautiful plant, and it's worth understanding how to grow it, even if Florida makes it an uphill battle. The care principles are the same everywhere. Full sun, fast-draining soil, and less water than you think it needs. If you want to try it, go for a Spanish lavender variety and put it in a container so you can control the drainage. But if you want something that will thrive here without a fight, ornamental salvia and rosemary will both give that purple, fragrant, pollinator-friendly garden you're after, and they'll actually survive our summers. That's all for now. Subscribe to see more.